The heck was that?
Velociraptor.
I think it was.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Baka-Talk, the only podcast. I do this every week. The only podcast in the whole wide world, because I ran out of things to say after that.
Apparently, we have velociraptors too.
I don't know if I'm going to leave that in or not.
I think you should, and you should enhance the audio.
I don't think they're going to hear the cow.
That's what that was?
That was a cow.
Well, we'll give you a replay. It was like, "Ah."
There is no cow.
Anyways, hope you're all having a good time, and I hope you all enjoy this episode. We did something different today. We actually got a topic to talk about.
Crazy.
I know, right? First of all,
Gasp.
gasp.
Audible guess.
I gotta remember to breathe because I'm currently sick. So first of all, if you could hear my voice, I probably sound like crap. So
He
I
is
apologize
slowly
for that.
suffocating. He is turning blue right now. Only your donations can save him.
I
Save a
can't
boom.
breathe and talk at the same time. So,
Send the funds to saveaboom.usa.org.
anyways, the jokester over there is Ramencat,
Yo.
and then the one that's laughing and making the cow sounds is Weez. Yeah.
Hi.
Speaking of horrors to society.
If you'd like to donate, that's to saveaways.usa.org.
Anyways, so Weez,
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
We're talking about anime. Wild. Our tastes in anime specifically.
I was just gonna say anything else.
So that was a great podcast. See ya, guys.
It's
Yeah,
just
cool.
like those
See ya.
videos that you see, they're like comedy, but where it's just like nothing makes sense. Nobody's thoughts are really connecting. People are just
Right.
saying things just like, so anime.
Right, anime.
Cue applause.
Yeah.
Yay.
Consume product.
Oh, that's the chord. That probably didn't sound good in people's ears.
That didn't sound good in my ears.
I'm sorry.
It's like two clams colliding from across time and space.
I'll fix it.
There you go. Applause.
Wait, we just
Audible smack.
don't we have an applause sound effect?
I think we do. Am I gonna rape people's ears with this? Give me 1 second. Hello.
All right, don't touch the soundboard. Don't touch the soundboard.
I got this.
No, there's definitely applause.
No, there's no applause.
I thought there was.
There's
I think you
applause.
over.
I think you must have already.
I think I did. Anyways, this is a great start to the podcast.
Chaos.
If you guys haven't left yet, we're going to talk about our taste in anime. Not particularly just like the individual anime that we like, but the kind of the, what's the best way to explain it?
The genre of anime we prefer.
Yeah, like the genre of anime that keeps on like drawing us back to it. So one thing that Ramencat said that kind of got me into this subject was he always prefers to like curl up to an anime with a cup of tea in his hand, and that just like makes me think of like a relaxing show.
Sometimes, not always.
Yeah, and then you added his Chainsaw Man. I'm like, wait a second.
No, I said Chainsaw Man is the one that after a hard day of cutting firewood, you come inside with your chainsaw, set it on your lap and pat it, and it's just sitting there rumbling and purring happily. And then you added while you're eating a raw steak.
No, I had.
Did not.
Oh, Weez added that.
Anyways, let's jump into this and let's get started with basic overview of what type of shows do you guys think that you always come back to and why?
Mysteries.
Mysteries?
Mysteries, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I also have to note this is not just going to be anime either.
Oh,
So it can be like just movies and shows in general.
movie. Oh, okay. So, scooch over, Weez. You ain't getting a spot today.
Okay. Wow.
Absolute favorite are, okay, if we're not talking anime, or if we are talking anime, I like mysteries and anime and stuff.
Yeah.
But I really like things like super spy style, like thrillers, like the show Blacklist
Oh,
and Burn Notice. I love
Okay.
those kind of shows where it's like, it's laid, like the characters' normal lives are laid back enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Blacklist, but then at the same time, it's like there's these like grand schemes that just keep spinning into the next thing.
you know, that kind of makes sense why you like mystery animes. Because it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they tie the two together a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like Erased is one of my favorite like mystery animes because everything just threads into itself, but it's like it ramps up and then it.
Yeah, and that shows
Yeah.
like a perfect example of kind of that type of. It's supposed to be a mystery show. A lot of people's lives are like normal in the
Mhm.
sense of they're just children going throughout their life. But then you have this whole scheme of this guy literally time traveled back to his 8-year-old self.
Yeah.
So it's like it has that wild aspect to it, to this normal, mundane,
I think
everyday
the reason
occurrence.
I like that so much is because I used to read like the Goosebumps series a lot, and a lot of the stories are like that's these kids trying to keep, either trying to tell people or trying to keep whatever's going on secret. But here's like this big like
Yeah.
thing playing out, and I have to try to like navigate it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think anime does that a lot, particularly because I think partially just because it's animation, so you can do things like that easier. But it feels like a lot of shows are a certain genre, like a drama or like a romance or something. But there's
Yeah.
always like supernatural twists to it. Like Bunny Girl Senpai has like the whole crazy stuff going on each time.
Yeah.
But it's just like a romance show. And like Erased is a pretty like
Slice of life show.
straightforward, yeah, and like a mystery, like
It's a mystery drama, slice of
mystery,
life.
yeah, serial killer kind of thing. But then it has this like supernatural, like he's getting thrown back in time,
Right,
like thing going
exactly.
on too.
Like the whole premise is actually pretty dark because you have a serial killer, or the first part of the show is about him trying to save a girl from domestic violence, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty dark.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's kind of grounded
Mm-hmm.
in a messed up sense of a way. It's
Yeah.
grounded. But then you start diving into like this whole serial killer thing,
Yeah.
and the fact that he like keeps on time traveling and stuff. And,
Yeah, it
like,
changes a lot too because it goes from like that's more of like a drama, and then it kind of switches to a mystery, like thriller
Right.
kind of.
It's kind
by
of
the
like
end.
too, even though it kind of fell apart at the end. There was an anime I watched called Fairy Gone, and it was kind of like that. It was like a political
Yeah.
intrigue, like it was a fantasy series, but it was also like this big political intrigue, and you find out like there's people trying to overthrow like the current ruling class, but it's like this like huge network of people and them trying to like find out who's like key
Right.
players in it.
That's cool. I feel like you'd really like a show called Psychopaths.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it.
You need to watch Psychopaths,
It is so good.
especially the first season.
Yeah, first season I'd say at least
only-
try watching the first season.
It's only 24 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna roll the ball over to Weez because if I keep talking, then this is just gonna be the Ramencat show. No one wants that spinoff.
So
But what if they do?
Do
Okay.
you really give the public what they want?
the
No,
image
I
I'm
don't.
seeing of you holding this like coffee mug and like with headphones on, staring into a mic, just like the morning show with Ramen Cat.
I was thinking more Larry King, but
I'd do a Larry King segment if it means I get to insult people like he used to.
that's true. He was pretty brutal. So
Mm-hmm.
My anime preference is pretty close to Ramen Cat. So a lot of my favorite shows are like
Suggested by me.
yeah, like Noragami is like that, where it's the main plot of it, like a lot of it is just them like hanging out, and then it goes into these like bigger like thriller
Plots,
kind
yeah.
of plots and like internal politics and
Goes
stuff.
from being kind of wholesome and sweet to ramping up to very, very
Yeah.
grim.
Very dark and like I don't know, a lot of interesting stuff going on. Death Note is more of just like straight thriller. There's not
oh yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of interactions that are just very like, you know, they're hanging out together, but everything is like very
But instead
purposeful.
of say like Erase, it takes like 3 episodes
Yeah.
to really get into like the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah.
Where Death Note, it was episode 2 and he's just like, I'm Kira, I'm gonna go a murdering now.
Yeah.
Like Death Note went from 0 to 60
Yeah,
in
so
like
fast.
16 minutes.
See,
Yeah.
that's something to me is like I like shows like I think that's part of why I'm liking not to keep bringing it up, but like Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Is the episodes are padded out in a way that you see the story curve. It's not just and here we go right directly into the story. Like the
Yeah.
characters have to like have time to adjust and get used to each other and
Yep. And not to
Yeah.
I didn't know I was thinking about this the other day. and I think Chainsaw Man, for people that watch it, say a year or two from now,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna say it's probably gonna be a little rushed
I don't know.
because it's weird. Like we're
Maybe.
watching it episode by episode,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes sense because we have that excitement right after the episode's done, and then it kind of goes away until the next episode.
Yeah.
And I feel like if somebody binges this, they're gonna see how quickly it actually goes.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
know.
Probably true.
I could be wrong about that, but I was
You
thinking
say
about that
the
the other day.
excitement wears off, but yet the other day I was contemplating rewatching all the episodes.
But then also last night you said you just didn't feel like watching.
Oh, I just didn't feel like doing anything.
Okay, fair point.
It's interesting because it does seem to kind of go fast. Like the big moment that happened in like not the most recent episode, but the one before it.
Yeah.
It did feel kind of like sudden out of nowhere. Like I didn't really get time to be with the characters before it happened.
Right.
So it does kind of feel that way. I don't know.
But
It'd be
at
interesting to rewatch it.
At the
Right.
same time, it brought a lot of urgency to the story.
Yeah, at the same time, I feel like if I rewatched it, I might feel like I've been with the characters more because maybe going bi-weekly, it feels less connected or something.
Feels
I
like
don't
Maybe.
you're weeks apart from the people you love.
know.
But to go back to like your guys' tastes in anime,
Yeah,
it sounds like you guys kind of like those shows that have a semi-slow start most of the time, and then they ramp up into the big events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I like to get to know the world and the characters
Yeah.
before the big overarching story.
yeah. I hate shows that kind of throw you into their world, never explain anything, just kind of like
Yeah, like even
drag
Death
you
Note,
along.
even Death Note, it goes from 0 to 60 real quick, but at least he
But
explains.
yeah, all the rules are
Ryuk
explained.
explains
Yeah.
everything. Light explains his schemes most of the time.
You
It's
know what?
like-
A show I will give it to for that. It might do it a little too much, and you'll get all excited for this. I honestly thought Evangelion did a very good job of padding out the world and letting you know exactly this is what's going on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like it didn't.
there's lots of shots of like you start seeing like little snippets of like at first Tokyo 3 is like pretty populated and stuff, and they're worried about protecting the city. And then by the end of it, you see there's like little hints and stuff, even just like little interactions of people in like a grocery store talking about how they're moving out.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, it's like it's just a dead
Yeah.
city, and you like see just long shots of like empty streets and stuff like that. Like it builds up different little parts of the world like that fairly well.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd say my main genre is probably like thriller.
Thriller, like Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Like yes. Like I have Death Note, Code Geass.
You only like Code Geass because of the bridge that parallels.
No, I love Code Geass because Code Geass is amazing. Like the reason Code Geass is good is because of its ending. Like it's a really good show, and then its ending is like one of the best endings ever, and it's awful if you get it spoiled.
Yeah.
But it's a really good show. And it also has the thing where like the beginning of it is just kind of like kids in a classroom that are like hanging out, and then it goes into like this crazy political like thing going on. But
I think another genre I like, and you probably won't believe this because I usually drop them, but it's more because they're usually so long that I get distracted with other newer, shinier shows.
Yeah.
I love adventure based shows.
mm,
So not in the now these like overly colorful, annoying copy paste fantasy adventures that they keep doing, but I like the old school adventures like Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, Full Metal Alchemist falls under a bunch of stuff, but it's like
yeah,
it's that journey.
Right.
I
yeah.
like Inuyasha because it's episodic, but it's an adventure. Like every episode is a new adventure or something. Or like Yu Hakusho or things like that, where it's like there-
it's an adventure.
there's a giant overarching goal, but it's gonna take a while to get there.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I don't know what's going on with that. You told me the other day that this new one was like people in a town just fighting each other, and a dude was an alien, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, that's the 2 ago. There's people in a town that are fighting, and one's an alien. The next one is mafia groups are fighting. The one after that is prison inmates are fighting.
I feel like they're just making genres just to have people fight in interesting places.
Yes. That's
But like
JoJo.
I like those kind of shows where it's like it's the long overarching journey.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
that makes sense.
I think that honestly is kind of why I like the earlier like Dragon Ball series and stuff like that, because there is like, even though they're in a place for a super long time, like the battles still take them to different places, and
right.
it's
Yeah.
like there's an adventure.
Yeah, JoJo part like 2 and 3 would be like that, especially part 2. He's like, and part 3 is very linear, so it's not my favorite. But part 2, it's like he gets put in this situation, and then he's like being tasked like, you have to do this thing or I'm gonna kill you. He like kind of talks his way out of getting killed, but he has to like fight the guy later, and so he's got these things going on where it's like, you have to do this within this amount of time or you're gonna die. And so there's like a tension, but it's also like he's going from place to place and like trying to learn and get to like be able to fight this guy in the end. Like there's a
journey.
yeah, there's a big like journey of what he has to do.
Now, boom, you're over there looking at your phone.
Well,
what's one of your favorite?
here's the funny part. I was looking at my anime list because I thought I knew the category I thought I was going to talk about and I liked, which was like just high action.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm usually like a big fan of that. I love like especially like 80s action movies and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
Predator and shows like that. But actually looking through my anime list, and it makes sense in my head now. For some reason, it never clicked. I like psychological action dramas.
So, like,
Yeah.
what was that one really long series that you were watching for a while?
Certain Magical Index.
Yeah.
Yes. So I like the shows where they dive into what's truly good and what's truly evil. So kind of like Death Note. Death Note is one of my favorite shows. But like shows like Evangelion and Full Metal Alchemist, Hellsing, Black Lagoon,
Psychopaths.
Psychopath,
like, especially like that.
Edge.
Gurren Lagann, shows like that, Bakano, kind of Durarar is a great one for that. Like
Yeah.
they dive into kind of the psyche of the situation and kind of like
Is it that thing of basically everyone is a villain in someone else's eyes and
Right.
everyone's a hero? in their
Pretty
own
great
eyes?
way
yeah.
to because I know we've all seen this or read it, and the great way to explain it is like one of my favorite shows actually is Tokyo Ghoul.
Mm.
Really?
Well, it's my favorite in the story wise. Like
Hmm.
it's cool where he wants to be a good person, but in the way he also has to embrace this like sense of evil that was given to him.
Yeah.
It in his eyes, it's evil for him to eat humans, right? It's
Mhm.
evil for him to drink blood and eat humans. But to help the people around him, he has to dive into that immorality to become stronger, to become the hero.
Yeah.
So kind of like Helsing's that same way. Alucard is evil. He's the king of monsters, the king of vampires. But at the same time, he's using that power to protect people
Yeah.
in a weird way. But then you also have the other side of it where you have the Catholic Church, especially in Ultimate, where they're the good guys. They're supposed to be the good
Right.
guys, but yet they're the ones that are invading London doing another crusade and just like massacring people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's just like, who's the good guy in that situation?
Yeah.
and that's cool when they have flexibility in storytelling. That it's like technically there's no good guy, there's no bad guy, because each thinks they're justified in their own.
And that's kind of why I like those type of stories, because in a way, it's boring because that's how real life is. There's
Mhm.
no like good guy, there's no bad guy. Like in wars, there's always going to be propaganda that tell you these are the good guys, these are the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, let's take it to the extreme. Nazi Germany. People in Germany thought they were the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something simple as that. Like
You know,
people that fought in the Nazi army. I just realized saying Nazi probably gets us shadow banned this episode at least, but whatever.
it's history. History
is.
sucks. It happened.
But people that fought in the Nazi army thought they were like actually fighting for their country,
Yeah.
fighting for their family.
Yeah.
They didn't think, oh, we're massacring
Well, they were told
billions
that
of
they were
people.
going out and going to be heroes for the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
They were making Germany a better place.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize just how deranged that idea was.
Yep.
So it's cool to see when the hero, the main part of the story, is actually dealing with that, where they have the power to alter whole worlds, alter the whole, like, I don't know, even something as simple as a whole continent. And they're like, well,
That doesn't sound simple.
Well, in this the grand scheme of things in anime, it's simple. Like when you start thinking of just like, oh, they're just altering this town. That's pretty simple. So like
Yeah.
even Galleon,
Yeah.
there's like the whole like emergence project.
Yeah. We're protecting this city. Why? Because we have an eldritch being living under our city.
And we want to complete this experiment where everybody joins consciousness and everybody's going to be good and everybody's going to be evil and there's just going to be nothing but everything at the same time.
Okay, Alex Jones.
Monster is a lot like that. It's like overall theme is kind of like who's the monster and like
Right.
stuff like that, where the doctor is hunting down this killer and doing like whatever he can to murder this guy, and this guy is like trying to prove that everyone is just as bad as he is because
Right,
he's like
yep.
a crazy insane serial killer. So he's like every person that the bad guy like interacts with, he manipulates to do something awful to like prove his point. And the main
Ah.
character is like, no, everyone deserves to live and should be like tried to made better
Yeah.
because, but then it's like, but this guy is like, is he worth, you know, saving because he's
Yep.
the one that's causing all of this stuff.
I kind of like that. They kind of go over that in Psychopaths in the story,
Yeah.
like especially the first season, where you have the cop that's just like on the manhunt for this one guy.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way, this guy in that realm, in that world of justice, that guy didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So
And that's so wild.
So it's like the cop is being betrayed as the bad guy because he's searching for somebody that, in the eyes of their laws, hasn't done anything
Hasn't done
wrong.
anything wrong. Yeah, he's just going down to gun him down.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really like shows like that, and I mean, I'll also pull out the random anime where it's just high action and like,
Yeah.
everybody likes that.
I think another one I like, I was going to say I didn't like it so much in anime, but I do, I guess, is I like slow, detailed out dramas.
Okay.
So maybe I wouldn't be a drama, but like, for example, Spirited Away. It's a movie. And it's like, it's slow because it wants you to take time to it. Like, the plot is kind of convoluted. Like, there's a plot there. There's a solid plot, but at the same time, it's kind of convoluted because the whole point of it is to be slow enough that you have time to take in and appreciate the scenes and stuff. And I've always liked that just in movies too. Like, there's a Western movie called Dances with Wolves. It's literally about a cavalry officer that the cavalry didn't want.
Yeah.
Like, he's a cavalry reject, basically. And their thing is, hey, go out and you're going to sit in this cabin in the middle of the plains and document everything you see and don't come back.
Yeah,
And
basically put him on the death like notice.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, it's slow, but it's like, just everything that happens is kind of just there for you to kind of take in the scene.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's not rushed or anything. I like that. There's another one because I like old Westerns. There's one called Little Big Man. And it's about this guy. It's just his life through the Old West. And it starts with him, like, it's the 60s and he's like the oldest man on earth.
Oh, okay.
And a journalist comes and interviews him, and it's like just telling about his life. Like, for a while he lived with like a Native American tribe and like just his life with them. Then he was a scout, and then he was just like a drunk that went about. And it just, everything was slow, like, and it took its time to pad out everything. It's like a 4-hour-long movie. But
wow.
It took its time in padding out everything. Now, like, if you give me a 4-hour-long action movie, I, for some reason, don't like those. Like, it just feels too much.
Well, the problem with that in particular is there's only so many action scenes you can put into it before you start recycling things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in a 4-hour movie where you've just seen basically the same type of fight scene an hour ago, it's just gonna get boring.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
that's where like action shows even have the same problem. There's
yeah.
only
Yep.
so many times a guy can get jumped in an alleyway
Yeah.
before it's just like, oh, he's gonna beat him up. Oh, he beat him up. Okay, let's move on with the story.
I feel
now.
like with
Yeah.
action, it's just like any other part of storytelling where there has to be like stakes and there
Right.
has to be like some kind of drama happening. And so when it's like faceless goon attacks you again, it's like there's no stakes, there's no drama. It's just faceless goon is
Right.
gonna get beat up again.
Yeah. Now I don't mind. Now, granted, I'm not a superhero movie fan, but I don't mind the plot of like a hero going up against the bad guy, the main bad guy, over and over, and having to refigure out like
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
try to beat them, or they end up like losing.
Well, that's how comics work out. Is like comics, they have that like Batman and the Joker. How many
Mhm.
times has the Joker been foiled by Batman?
Yeah.
So many times, but each time it's different. But there's actual stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Joker's gonna unleash like laughing gas upon Gotham City. Like if he legit doesn't stop him, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
one
works
reason
out.
I love the Spider-Man PlayStation game is one of the best Spider-Man stories.
Yeah.
Because like part of the build up is that he's been Spider-Man for a while, so he's experienced in this.
Yeah.
And so he's already put down most of the criminals already
Yep.
in jail. And like halfway through, um, spoilers, the Sinister Six gets like broke out.
Okay.
So he has to like go back to him, but he already knows how to defeat them. So he's just
Right.
like, it's just everything's overwhelming him at once, but he's just like, okay, I got to take down this guy. And then he like takes him down because he already knows how to fight him. And then and then each one he's just like has to take them out one after another. And then it ends with like the final like big villain, which is Doc Ock, who was like his friend up to this point. So it's more of like a personal struggle.
Oh,
at
that's
the end.
cool. So
Yeah.
the game, because Doc Ock is actually part of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that they leave Doc Ock as a good guy up until that point.
Yeah,
That's cool.
he
I like
he
that.
actually is the one that breaks them out.
Oh,
So
that
like
makes sense.
he goes insane and then gets like everyone together and is like, this is what we're gonna do. And,
Okay.
and there's a lot of politics about like Oscorp and stuff too. But
Well, and that's cool. That's one way comics work out better like scenarios is they'll have individual like the Sinister Six is great for Spider-Man,
Mhm.
but then you have like Legion of Doom for the Justice League.
yeah,
Where the Justice League fights Apocalypse a bunch of times or Lex Luthor a bunch of times. But then all of a sudden, Lex Luthor is the head of the League of Doom that has all of the superheroes or
yeah.
villains, and they can fight individual, like, they can fight their opposite.
hmm
It works out that way.
Brings us to our next genre. Even though I don't like superhero movies, mainly because they've oversaturated the market, they're kind of boring now.
Yeah.
I loved growing up, like the comic book style superhero shows, like
Oh,
Teen
yep.
Titans, Ben 10, Justice League, all
Yeah.
those. Like I loved those style of things. Because it was like, okay, here's the situation. How do you approach
Yeah.
it? Here's this new colorful villain. How are they going to deal with it? Or is it even actually a villain? It could actually just be something that doesn't get what's going on.
Yep.
I feel like what made superheroes good in that way and like those shows and stuff is that they were grounded.
Yeah,
So
they
you-
still had
You felt the stakes and you felt how like vulnerable they were, even fighting like basic, people.
like Teen Titans, for example. I don't know if anyone remembers it before the weird like
Go.
before Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
Before that, there was a awesome anime inspired style
Yep.
Teen
Yeah.
Titans. And like with that one, it kind of is step and repeat. Like they always have things going on. But like Robin gradually throughout the series becomes obsessed with catching well, they call him Slade,
Yep.
Teen Titans, but Deathstroke. And it's like
Well, they're the same person.
yeah, they're the same person. but
Slade's
they-
his real name.
yeah, they only call him Slade in this.
Well, I
Oh.
don't think they can actually say Deathstroke.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There was some pretty messed up.
Did they have Deadshot in it?
They didn't have Deadshot, but I mean, like the final villain was Trigon or whatever he's called.
Well, Trigon. Trigon
And,
is
like,
a
opening
demon, which is
and, like, opening the
somehow
portals to
better for a
hell.
Yeah.
kid show.
Sometimes they're like, you can't say the word death. Can I kill characters? Yes.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just remember this thing where Robin's like fighting Slade at one point, like busts part of his mask and it's just like all skull behind
That
it.
moment, or oh yeah, the skull part's great. There's one point when Robin gets so obsessed with fighting him
Yeah.
that like he starts seeing him
Yeah.
when he's not there.
Well, and that's the thing is like with that show, the overarching stake was like with Robin was like he just became more and more obsessed. He became obsessed like Batman was with the
Yeah.
Joker, and
Yeah.
to the point of, like you said, he starts seeing him everywhere because at one point he thinks he killed him.
Right.
And actually, I think that he did kill him. He's like one of the few characters that actually died in the show. And it goes up to the point of he obsessed so much that in like a couple episodes, he starts doing what Slade would do.
Oh. See,
So
that's
it's like that kind of thing. It gives
Yeah.
the character struggle.
Yep. See, that's a cool thing about the Robin type character in superhero shows is you have Robin, which is raised by Batman, which is
Mhm.
literally just an embodiment of revenge and rage.
Yeah.
And so you have somebody that had a traumatic past, especially like that Robin that turns into Nightwing. But then you have the other Robin that was beaten to death by the Joker and then turns into Red Hood.
Yeah.
Like both of those Robins, they have different endings. One actually like uses his like dedication to turn into like a full-fledged superhero. The other one turns into an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
cool to see how superhero shows can take that and bring it to
Yeah.
the extreme.
I feel like one of the problems, one of the things that they did so well that they haven't done recently is just those kind of stakes and those kind of character progressions where it feels like now they can't do that anymore. Like
Yeah.
one of the like everyone's like favorite most recent Marvel movie has been the third Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
And that's because things actually happened. Like at the end of it, he's actually completely like dead basically.
Yeah.
Like it completely changed what's going to happen with this character. Whereas like every other Marvel movie that's come out recently, the characters are the same when they enter and the same when they leave. Like even if they learn a lesson or whatever, it's like
That's the problem. They never learn a lesson.
yeah,
And
it's like you learned you should be more like accepting of yourself or whatever. And
Well,
then
that's
it's
like compare the latest Spider-Man movie to the latest Thor movie.
yeah.
Spider-Man has a life-altering thing, and
Yeah.
technically Thor does too.
But-
like his love interest dies and he gains
Yeah.
a child, but in a way he's still himself.
Yeah, it's still
but
like
now he just has a kid with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing's really
Well,
changed.
a good Marvel movie for it that they did do it, and I think did the character pretty well up to the end was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Tony
Mhm.
Stark. Like,
Yeah.
he actually did change. He went from being cocky, didn't really care about anything, to seeing what his company was actually doing,
Right.
and suddenly, like
Yeah.
it made him more compassionate towards people.
And like Captain America had his thing, like he wasn't a very dynamic character. He was pretty like himself the whole time.
Yeah.
But just the things that he went through were interesting.
It
Yeah.
made him question.
Yeah, and it was
stuff.
like, oh, this organization that you've been serving the whole time, they're actually the bad guys the whole time, and you were betrayed. And then he's like fighting against governments and stuff like nonstop after he sacrificed himself to the government.
Yep.
So then it's like that's his thing, and then him like dealing with all that, and it's like that's more interesting. So many of the heroes are just like bad guy, defeat bad guy. I am
yeah.
Iron
good guy now.
perfection.
I
Yeah.
think that's where anime does really well because like it's not really considered a superhero show, but if you think about it, it has all the standards of a superhero show. Is Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
You have these alchemists, which are outstanding members of society. They're like
Mhm.
superhuman compared to the average person. Yeah, they are ran by the government. And
Yeah.
stuff. But then you also have the homunculus,
Mm-hmm.
and they're basically the opposite of the alchemists, right?
Yeah.
And Edward starts off as this cocky, arrogant, kind of little punk. right?
Yeah.
Like he had a life-altering thing happen when he tried bringing his mother back,
Mhm.
but in the same way, he's still a kid.
Yeah.
And then by the end, especially in Brotherhood, by the
Yeah.
end of it, you see that he's a full-blown adult.
Yeah.
Like he's gone through that whole character progression. He's seen people die. He's
Seeing atrocities.
seen atrocities,
Yeah.
seen literal like wiping out of nations.
I think
Like-
probably the other thing that makes Full Metal Alchemist so good is that the characters have agency. They have something they want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas like most shows are like most Marvel movies and like just superheroes in general, they are reluctant heroes.
Yep.
Where like all the time it's just something bad happens and they have to fix it.
Yeah, it's basically you're the only one who can do
So-
it. I don't want to put the
Yeah,
spandex on.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to. Okay, now I
Somehow-
realized I have to.
Somehow they're always 2 blocks away from the giant alien that landed in the city.
Yeah.
See, again, that's kind of the cool thing that was with Iron Man was that was a thing of, well, you caused this problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to fix your problem.
See, that's
Yeah.
the first Iron Man has that really cool scene where he finishes the Mach. I think they consider it the Mach 3 armor,
Mhm.
the classic golden,
Yeah.
the hot rod
Yeah.
armor. And he goes over to what is the representation of basically Afghanistan
Hmm.
and just like takes out the whole village.
Yeah.
He's like, you can thank me later, basically. Then he goes
Yeah.
back and he's like, oh, wait a second. Like, was like, that was a good thing to do, but was it the thing to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't fix anything.
Right. He realizes like just going up and beating the bad guys isn't the problem.
Mhm.
It's the problem that he sells the weapons and then
Yeah.
they're out there now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he had agency. He wasn't like he was kidnapped or whatever, and like that's
Yeah.
the whole thing. But like it wasn't like, oh, this bad guy showed up and now you have to defeat them or you're gonna die or whatever. And then he's like, oh no, I have to do this even though I don't want to.
Right,
It's like
up-
he wanted to do this.
Yeah,
He-
up until the
Too
end.
many movies pull the Luke, you have to do this.
yeah.
Well, even in a way, Star Wars, he was just doing his thing
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
until like he didn't know there was a Death Star and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was just doing his thing, like trying to help people, help Ben out.
Yeah. Because
And then all of a sudden he realizes that there's a Death Star and now he has agency to
Yeah.
actually save the galaxy.
Like he could actually give up and just go home.
Yeah.
And like if you think about it, that is how much really changes, like
In a way,
there's still a rebellion, there's still people that are going to try to take down the Death Star even if he's not going. So it's not like he's the most important person ever because he has
Right.
superpowers. It's like
well, and that's the Han Solo character in episode 4.
yeah.
Like Luke automatically jumps for the cause.
Mhm.
But then there's that scene where the rebellion rewards Han.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out of here,
Then he's
kid.
like-
This isn't my problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he has that agency. He's like, well, I actually have to like help these people.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. So many superheroes are just, oh no, I have to do this thing. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're reluctant
Or
for no reason.
yeah, or they've gotten to the point where they just do it just to do it because they're superheroes now. So like, oh, there's a bad guy, I gotta stop the bad guy, and then
Yeah.
it's like, cool, I don't care. You've done this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt in the fourth, no, the third, no,
Fourth.
fourth
Thor movie.
Thor
yeah.
movie. It's just like, oh, there's Gore. Better go beat
And
the
that's-
crap out of
That's
him.
why like the third Thor movie is so much more liked than the fourth one, is because things actually happen in
Oh
it.
my
Like
God.
Asgard gets destroyed.
Yeah, and he needs to get back to his people, but he's like on the butt end
Yeah,
of the
like,
universe.
He
Right.
actually finds someone that's like a huge threat and he can't beat, and it's like that's way more interesting than just here's this guy and
Yep.
he's
See,
trying to kill all the
The
gods.
original thing, like the premise that Stanley used to set up, because he hated the way that like the DC heroes were just blatant, just good, bad, good guy always. win,
Yeah.
was your villain should always be greater than your hero.
Mhm.
Your
Yep.
villain should be more powerful, faster, better, because they've already planned everything out.
Yep.
They're ready to go, and the hero is just a blip of a problem that shows. up.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people make fun of it, but Shonen, they do that right from
Oh
the
yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Usually Shonen the villain is like uber powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And then the hero has to go through a journey. If they do it right, and they don't just do a training montage, if they do it right, he has to
Yeah.
go through a journey to become more powerful.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
in general, the difference between shonen and superhero is usually superhero is the villain is doing something that the hero has to stop because he gets thrown into a situation. And a lot of times shonen's the opposite, where the main character wants to take down whatever
Yeah.
because he wants to become something.
I want to
Like,
become the hero and defeat the
He
Demon
wants
King,
to,
but I will
yeah,
die if
it's
I
like
do it
he
right
wants
now.
to become the hero and go through, the struggles, whereas superheroes generally don't want to,
Yeah.
but they have to.
Well, because
kind of thing.
shonen are also kind of meant to inspire.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
It's
for
like
sure. Yeah.
like a superhero is kind of like a fantasy of like, what if I suddenly had powers but I was
Yep.
still weak like I am, and then I had to save the day or whatever. And shonen is like, you're gonna accomplish your dreams whether you
Yeah.
want to or not.
Put your mind to it. And
Yeah.
do it.
Yep. Well, that's where I like the in a way it's a training montage, but it really works out because he does a okay, let's start with the premise. My Hero Academia.
hmm
Midoriya, the main character, has no power, right? But then he meets up with All Might, the strongest of all the superheroes. And All Might's like, you can have my power by eating this strand of hair. Something so mundane and so simple. And he's like, I will do it. I will become the next mighty hero.
Yeah.
He eats it, uses his power one time, and breaks his arm.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, you're a weak little dude. Like, you can't handle my power. So he
Yeah.
literally has to train
Mhm.
and beat his body into submission. And there's this great scene where the training montage starts where All Might brings him to this crowded beach just full of junk. Like cars and refrigerators of junk.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like the extreme of junk. And he's like, you need to clear out this beach by the end of like your training. And at the end of the training, there's this cool scene where he's standing on top of the pile of junk. Like after he's cleaned out the whole beach, he's like on the pile of junk where they put it all.
Yeah.
And he's like ripped, like 6-pack ripped. And he's just screaming into the sky. And he's like,
That's
you're
great.
finally ready. And then after that, he goes and breaks both of his arms because he's still not ready.
So that's what I liked about it. I will say that was something I liked about like Demon Slayer with the training thing.
Yeah.
At like face value, it's like, okay, yeah, he trained real quick. But the fact of it is one, he's doing it with agency because he wants to save his sister.
Yeah.
They
And
did that
it's-
training weird though too. It's actually years of
Yeah,
training.
I think it's like
Yeah.
two years
Yeah.
almost of it. So it's like when you realize that there's tons of time that went by, and
Yep.
the reason this character's
Yeah.
doing it, it makes it have value.
It takes
Right.
like a whole episode or two. Like, also, it's not just like training montage. He's good
Right.
now. It lets you go through some of the things. Like, it takes you through the whole trial of him like running down the hill and like
Yep.
running down the mountain and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Well,
I do have one more genre.
you do.
I'm sorry, I'm hogging this.
Well, we just
podcast.
got on that whole superhero story tangent because you said you like superhero genres. So
I like the cartoon.
yes,
Like,
go ahead.
is actually I like romantic comedy anime.
Oh yeah, those are always good.
Yeah.
I think my favorite so far has been I watched it with my girlfriend. It was Kamasami Kiss because it is hilarious. It's also a supernatural show.
Oh yeah,
So it's just this constant just banter between like this girl ends up like becoming a shrine god,
Yep.
even though she doesn't want to, but she's got like nowheres to go. And this god is like, I don't want to be a god anymore. Here you go. Here's my powers. Bye.
that's great.
And then she has like this fox spirit that is her servant, but he's like real stuck up and kind of pompous,
Okay,
but like super protective of her. And
Yeah.
it's just like her inheriting all the crap that the previous shrine god caused.
Yeah.
That's
I
funny.
really like, a lot of people don't like anime like comedy, but
like the romantic
I feel
comedies
like-
do it well.
I feel like I don't know, it's my style, I guess. I think it's a lot of times just the like absurd situational humor.
yeah.
Where it's just like, if you one thing I thought about was like the Into the Spider-Verse, where he's like learning his powers
yeah,
and he's like flopping across the windows like in
yeah.
the classroom. Like, it shows you from inside the classroom, because it's like, it's funny to think about that situation
If
without any context
If you
whatsoever.
walked in, this
Yeah,
is
like
what
if you were
could see.
in the class and then suddenly you just see this, it's like it's a hilarious like idea, and it feels like anime does that so much, where it's just like the most absurd like
Yeah, because
situation they can come up with.
if it's not situational comedy, it's just straight comedy. It's usually feels very chaotic and
Yeah.
disjointed.
That's why I like shows like Konosuba
Mhm.
and Love is War.
Yeah.
Like Konosuba's not a romance anime,
See,
but it's-
Konosuba felt very chaotic for me, which made it very hard.
that's
to
what I
watch.
like about it.
It's-
It's literally Kazuma. He wants to be an isekai hero, but he freaking can't get anybody around him to cooperate with him. Like the freaking first big quest that they have is just to kill flying cabbages.
Yeah.
And his party fricks it up.
Yeah.
Like so much that the water goddess costs like $2 billion in yen damages.
Oh, gee.
It's
Because she
almost
floods the city.
See, I tried I watched a couple episodes of Konosuba, and I don't know why. And maybe it's because of the fact I was reading it instead of just watching a dub. But it just felt really chaotic, and like when a show starts feeling chaotic, I find it kind of stressful to watch it.
I mean, there's another
Yeah.
great bit where the one time he actually gets somebody to cooperate with him is like the Archmage Megamine.
Mhm.
She wants to practice to become better at her thing. So he helps her by going out to a abandoned castle every day and letting her explode it. And then, of course, she can only explode something once and then she collapses. So he just carries her back. They do that for a year. And it turns out that what they thought it was an abandoned castle was actually the hideout for one of the Demon Lord generals. So they end up causing the Demon Lord to like bring out his army, or the Demon Lord general to bring out his army and like attack the town.
And he shows up and he's like, who the frick has been blowing up my castle every single day? And they're like, oh.
All I remember is on YouTube, Baka-Talk.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like they're just like having a good time training, and then all of a sudden they're like they almost like end the world.
It's almost like a dark comedy where like everything that they do ends up causing every problem that they have.
Sounds more slapstick.
It
sounds like very much like a Three Stooges scenario.
It is kind of, yeah. It's kind of slapstick. It's got some like jokes, and I think it's character focused jokes. Like the characters themselves are the jokes.
Yeah.
So like their personalities, like Darkness is just an insane masochist. So when the Demon Lord comes up and they're about to fight the town, she's like, oh no, you're gonna take me to your castle and do horrible things to me. And the Demon Lord is like, shut up, you're gonna give people a bad idea about me.
Now, one comedy that I liked, because I thought it was kind of second season was kind of meh, was One Punch Man.
That's not a comedy in my book. That's a parody.
It's a satirical comedy. It's satire of the superhero genre.
Mob Psycho, which I've been watching the new season of, does the comedy amazing. Like it's the same kind of One Punch Man comedy, but I think it's funnier, and it's like
a little more grounded.
It's kind of more grounded, yeah, because it's not quite over the top as much. Where the joke of like One Punch Man, I guess the fights in Mob Psycho mean more to the characters, whereas the joke of One Punch Man is the fights, because it's like they build up this hero and then he's like, this is going to be an epic fight, and then it's just the most disappointing like one punch ever.
The disappointment is the humor.
Yeah.
Like the whole like asteroid over the city.
Like,
it's about to, like all these top A heroes are trying to stop the asteroid. He just like punches
it.
through it.
and usually it's some dumb reason, or like oh no, like they fight the one guy that's like evolution to like bring the next generation of humans or whatever, and then he like defeats all of the like most evolved like special heroes, and then he's like, oh crap, we're gonna miss the sail.
If we sprint full speed now, we'll be able to make it.
Where one Mob Psycho more has situational comedy, where like the main character, like one of the main characters is just a fake psychic and has Mob that helps him out, and he's always like lying to him, like giving him reasons why he doesn't do anything, because Mob is just like, why didn't you just exercise that guy? And he's like, oh well, you see, I'm just gonna leave the small fries to you because of whatever.
Yeah, Mob is supposed to be the sidekick.
Yeah,
that's like weak compared to this guy.
And this guy's just a total con man.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious because certain parts later in the series, Mob gives Reagan his powers at certain points. And Reagan's actually like a legitimately good person and like, tries to protect Mob and stuff. And he doesn't, like, he knows psychic stuff exists, but he doesn't know how prevalent it is. So there's like these psychics that are battling, and he's just like, what are you doing with these stupid like toys and dumb costumes and whatever? So Mob gives him his powers. He just like wrecks all of them, because in his mind it's just like, oh, you're using this like plastic sword, what the heck? Snaps it, and the guy's like, that was my like power of like making that sword super sharp or whatever. And everyone around him now thinks that Reagan is the real deal when
Yeah.
in reality he's not. So he has this like legit following around him of people that are like, this is the most powerful Esper like in the world.
There's I just realized, and it's kind of rare in anime. It was a comedy. Well, kind of. I don't know if it's a comedy or a drama, but there's a show called Wave Listen to Me. It's about a radio DJ. And
I think that's actually a slice of life audio drama.
it is
Or
a
not audio drama, but like drama.
Drama,
It-
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of funny situations in it because they are situational, but they are grounded, real. Like, you could end up in this situation or
Yeah.
odd thing.
It's one of those few shows where it's just 30-year-olds going throughout their life.
Yeah, and it's like it's great. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I think
I love
character
that show.
focused comedies like probably my favorite. Like
Yeah.
Noragami with just Yato being like,
Well, I think what makes this funny to me is just like Boom said, it's 30-year-olds going about their life as well as existential crisis.
yeah.
Giga talked about that show one time in one of his year-end reviews, because that's all he really does for anime anymore.
Mhm.
But he was just like, yeah, so when you want to watch two 30-year-olds have an existential crisis, he's just like, frick, I'm a 30-year-old having an existential crisis. Maybe I shouldn't watch this show.
I don't know. It's just trying to funny because it's situations like this. Main character, her boyfriend dumps her, and she's wasted at a bar. And
Yeah.
ranting to this guy who's a little older than her, and he's like, hands her a business card, like tricks her into playing in this like nightly radio drama thing where they'll like have like a short script and stuff.
Mhm.
It just the way it goes about it is like, yeah, I can see someone doing that to
yeah.
someone.
Yeah, that's how Mob Psycho is a lot too. It's just all the situations are just they feel real, but they're also just so absurd.
Yeah.
Noragami has great comedy. A lot of anime have good comedy. And a lot of times they mix it. Like a lot of shonens will have like comedy moments.
You know what a show was that didn't have good comedy? Because the heck with Western cartoons, Pickle and Peanut.
I have no idea what that is.
No idea what
It was
that
a
is either.
horrible show.
But anyways, we're almost at an hour. We have one more smaller topic to go through, so we're gonna take a break real quick. And then
very small.
this is probably gonna be a longer episode. So, but yeah, we'll be right back.
At time.
And we're back here.
And we're back.
Does he do that every session?
Unfortunately, I'm just gonna start editing it out
Oh
Okay.
no.
because it's like ear bleeding.
It's like the Matt Pat thing. Like how he talks in all of his videos.
You know the bad part is I am not adept in any way of who is popular on the World Wide Web. So like Matt Pat and all these people, I'm like, who are these people?
You don't know Matt Pat?
Game
No.
theory guy?
No.
Game theory, film theory. I don't know. He always talks and he's like, today we're going to be whatever.
That's probably why I don't know who he is, because
Yeah.
I like watching like YouTubers like Film Comics Explain. That's just like, listen to this gentleman's voice. It's so relaxing.
He's
Yeah.
he's an annoying theater kid, like
Yeah,
performance.
uh,
Yeah.
I like more relaxed shows.
Like us. Wow,
Hey.
that hurts.
Good. I hope it brings you pain.
Okay, I'm better.
Oh god, my voice is breaking.
Okay, what was our new next topic?
not slapping tables and how it's bad for the environment.
I forgot. I'm sorry, environment. I'll never do that again.
No,
Face
we're
slam.
talking about this is a small subject, I guess, kind of. We're talking about why, in our opinion, people think anime is just one thing.
Yeah.
Hear me out. It's because the government and the capitalist system makes us consume only a few shows at a time for their corporate
They're trying
greed.
to brainwash our population through Hollywood, and they don't want the influence of foreign media to change our perspective on internal politics. Yeah.
That's what I would say if I had a brain cell, but that's not what we are going to say.
Because
If
the
you
real
had a
reason
brain
If I had a
cell?
brain
the
cell.
real reason is that generally the people that think that way are the people that have that they're usually older and they haven't seen like they've only seen advertisements or like a very little amount of anime.
Yeah.
I'd like to argue with that. A lot of people in mine and Boom's range think that anime is weird because they get like the wrong impression.
Yeah, that's what I mean, older
Yeah.
people. So
Whoa.
I meant like
Whoa.
kids,
How old are you?
teenagers.
How
Like
old are you?
kids, teenagers.
Answer the question.
I'm not gonna answer the question. Kids and teenagers, like that age, know what anime is more. I think.
Yes.
But like,
It's more ingrained into their culture, though.
okay,
But I wanna
people that
talk
go to
about-
work, they see anime advertised on the TV,
Yeah.
and they're like, "That's what anime is," because they see like one thing of.
Have you guys ever like seen a advertisement on TV for a certain anime?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I
used
have.
to watch Toonami.
Exactly. Like if you were a parent walking into Cartoon Network, like your kids is watching Cartoon Network, and like an anime commercial pops on, you would think it's either the most kiddish thing in the world or the most violent thing in the world.
I can
Yeah.
tell you exactly. Tune in for Dragon Ball Z, and then after that will be Inuyasha and Zatch Bell.
But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, what I kind of want to go over is like the misconception in America specifically, especially in more Christian Orthodox like mindsets, like the more like a traditional American mindset.
I don't know. I got a coworker who's like a hardcore atheist that thinks it's weird.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, like traditional like American mindset, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
not like
traditional
internet
values.
culture
You mean?
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like so like you see if you that was me the underneath the table there's a little bend pipe thing. My toe grazed it.
That was a grace.
That was a graze. I got
I don't want to know what happens when you caress it.
I'm caressing it right now. Anyways, so like you're saying, your coworker, our coworker, I guess we work together, thinks anime is quite weird.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him a couple times about it, and he like always references Sword Art Online and how like some scenes can get pretty like rapey.
Yeah.
Well, because they're legit like rapey. But that's like one show out of a grand scheme of isekai type shows.
Yeah. It's
Like-
just, it happens to be a popular show.
Right.
I think the big thing, like I actually sitting in a coffee shop had this conversation with my girlfriend's parents.
Yeah.
I think her mom had asked us, like, so we were talking about shows, and my girlfriend mentioned a show, and her mom was like, "Well, what's that?" And my girlfriend's like, "Okay, it's an anime."
Yep.
And her dad was like, "Well, aren't those like kids shows?" And I just, for the heck of it, because we usually strike up small conversations like this, I was like, "No, actually, it's kind of because of a limited market. Like, we don't see a lot of what Japan actually makes."
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's like I explained, it's like anime is no different than how you categorize TV shows and movies. You know,
Yep.
like, you know how there is adult animations in America? It's like,
Right.
yeah. And it's like, usually they're just kind of dumb comedy or
Yep.
like some weird abstract thing. It's like, okay, if you just took the animation part, but span the genre of movies, like there are anime for kids and there's micro genres in that. And then there's animes for young adults. There's animes for adults, and
Yep.
like they each have their own thing. There's romance, there's drama, there's horror, there's just comedy. And like he didn't know that. Like he thought it was just anime was anime, and that's
Yep.
all there was. And it's like, no, there's a lot to it. Like it's just a method of entertainment, and I mean, all respects, it's kind of cheaper than making $1 billion movie or a show.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it lets artists really kind of flex their muscles, and just it's just that, it's just a genre. It's just in the West, we're so used to seeing King of the Hill and Simpsons and stuff be the only thing for adults. It's animated.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the problem is like our animated shows here, like we're getting more and more, but even still they're only online. We're getting more and more adult animated shows in the West.
Is somewhat, but like we never have like a serious
Right.
animated show.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not very often we get a Invincible,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
where there's actual like consequences and there's dark themes, there's adult conversations. Usually we get Family Guy,
Yeah.
where like if there's a death, that was just a bit.
Yeah. And usually any like um thing that's like a more serious like animated show is like heavily anime inspired. Like
It's
if
either that or it's just another DC animated movie,
Yeah, that
another
too.
Marvel. It's only limited to things that are viewed as kids things.
Right.
And comic
but like
books.
Arcane is kind of like an example of
But then
Yeah.
again, Arcane's only an online show.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess aren't most shows just online shows at this point? Because of Netflix.
Theoretically,
and all those.
but we're also kind of diving into the topic like why most of everybody in say America in particular just thinks anime is just for kids
Yeah.
or anime is just literal porn
Yeah.
because
I've seen people say that before.
Yeah.
because they've legit only seen tidbits of it either on TV or they've heard about it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Or you see it online or something.
I had
it's
a
like
friend
random.
of us.
The great hentai crisis of 1909.
Yeah, I had a friend one time where their mom was I don't know how she came upon it, but she found the Wikipedia for hentai.
Oh, I remember what it was because we were joking about it with our friend, and
Oh,
she
that's
asked him, who was our other friend's little brother, "Well, what do you guys do all day?" And he was just like, "Look at hentai," like just being cheeky and smug
Yeah.
because that's his humor.
Yeah.
And then their mom
She Googled
asked
it.
her sister what it was. She explained it, and then their mom went and looked it up and started this giant Facebook crusade
Yeah.
against anime.
Yeah. She started thinking about she started saying stuff like you better like watch what your kids are like. Of course you should always watch what your kids are watching, but they're
Yeah.
like, you should always watch what your kids are watching because you never know when they're gonna be watching like anime and hentai, and like you don't realize how hentai is directly related to anime. That was her big thing, that like anime was directly related to hentai.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
A
that's,
lot of people don't realize they're completely different.
yeah,
things.
that's full
Yeah.
crap. But the other thing is definitely true. Like, don't just like put on Made in Abyss and be like, it looks child enough. Your kids. Will
That's
watch it."
another thing that is a problem with anime is you have shows like Made in Abyss, you have shows like Madoka Magica.
Yeah.
Where it's just
They're
an
supposed
artist
to be
makes-
cute.
Yeah, an artist makes an art choice.
Yeah,
I
makes it that
freaked
way.
out because my sister started watching this old magical girl anime called Glitter Force.
Mm-hmm.
My voice cracked right at the wrong time right now. Glitter Force. And I freaked out. I had to start like my anime listing, looking at it. I'm like, okay, is this a good magical girl show like Sailor Moon, or is this like bad like Madoka Magica?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I never thought of this, and I wish I could remember the YouTuber's name. I just got done watching their piece, but they brought up a really good point. Was they were covering how people were thinking that Cartoon Network was going to just disappear.
Yeah.
Well, all they're doing is reevaluating themselves and going back to what they did in the 90s, because originally what Cartoon Network was supposed to be was a dumping ground for animators. All you were supposed to do was, all right, are you gearing it to early morning for little kids?
Yep.
Is it through most of the day, which is it's just supposed to be so anybody can sit down and watch it?
Right.
Or is it going to be Adult Swim, like late night,
Yep.
more adult geared things? Problem is the lack of parenting. Most people have just dumped their kids in front of the TV
Yeah.
and let them watch whatever came on.
Yeah, and that's
And
a problem.
That's kind
It's
of a
like-
problem with anime too. Like when parents do that and don't check into the things that their kids watching, suddenly little Timmy's watching Berserk because you left him there with the control to the Roku.
Well,
Like I
to be
actually
honest, Berserk is totally wholesome and fine. So
well, no, like I had an example of this the other day. My nieces were on Netflix.
oh
And
boy, there's some
Netflix
pretty
is
nasty.
rough.
They're just watching cartoons, and because I've watched Cyberpunk, It was in the roster next after a show
Oh.
they were watching. Like, oh no, you're not watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, you can legit accidentally have Berserk come up on Netflix.
Yeah. And
So-
then it's the CGI one, and the kids are like, oh my
No,
goodness.
well, they have the original trilogy, the
Yeah.
but
1997 one.
it's things like that of misconceptions are caused by people that aren't doing their
Right.
job.
Honestly, Berserk is a great thing for children to watch, though, to learn about
Get outta
existentialism and like death. And
Oh,
stuff like that.
and how babies are made. It's
yeah.
very educational.
Get
Yeah, you
outta
see
here,
the
you.
demons come to the.
I don't know. I watched the new like Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio with my nieces, and I think it traumatized one, and the other one I think is slowly just becoming dark and grim like me.
Guillermo del Toro made the new Pokemon.
It's
or, no, the
fantastic.
new Pinocchio.
It's fantastic.
the one where he sounds gay.
No,
The original.
Why does my voice keep on cracking right at
The
the wrong
original-
part?
this is
Pinocchio.
a stop motion one. It's very uncanny, but in a kind of whimsical way.
I didn't know that
But-
one was coming out. I've only seen the new Disney one.
Nope, this is just a Netflix one.
Oh,
It's really good.
Well, the original Pinocchio was like a really dark, awful story.
Oh, it was, and this does its own twist, but it also is just really good. Anyways, sorry,
That's
not
cool.
to get off topic, but that's to me is part of it. Is one, we don't get a lot of we get a lot of marketing, but we don't get the marketing say in Japan,
right.
yeah.
where they have literal like a new One Piece movie comes out and they have a parade for
Right.
One Piece.
Yeah.
We don't.
The
There's a-
most marketing we get is during the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yeah.
They put out like Pikachu
have-
and like Goku or whatever.
I love watching the announcers trying to pronounce Dragon Ball names. Goku.
the
well, like,
legendary
the-
fighter.
I've watched
Goku.
like little parts of them. Just I never got too deep into them, but like I've watched certain animes where it's like it'll be like one set in their ancient times or something, and it never hit the American market because it pretty much is just Japan's history
Yeah.
mixed in with like their mythos and stuff. So that's not going to target good to an
Right.
American audience or a European audience
Yep.
as much as little kid punches monster in face, big explosion.
Yeah.
Well, little kid that punches monster, big explosion has less cultural context than say, what's a good one?
Noragami has a lot of cultural
Noragami has a
context
lot
with
of- yeah.
gods
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're wondering why
Right.
it's a big deal that this businessman is like making this deal, right?
yeah.
Like in Japan, businessmen making deals is their lifeblood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it makes more sense why that would be more of a I don't want to say high octane because it's not that, but
It
it's
means
more
Also-
it means more in that culture than our culture here, where we're like, yeah, we can switch jobs out whenever we want.
right.
To be fair, anime marketing is so awful for like especially
is.
Western markets. If you look at like any like especially light novel covers and stuff like that, like the impression you get from the story from like the poster and the visual is like so different from what
Oh,
the
yeah.
show
I
actually
guarantee
is.
you that's why most shows I don't watch them, because
Yeah.
there's been quite a few that I have like shows I picked up. I'm like, this is really good. I better
Right.
not let anyone know I'm watching this.
Yeah.
The way the cover looks.
I don't
but-
know if it's still on Netflix, but like Death Note, which has some of the least fan service of any show ever, has like Misa just like draped across the like cover
In her, black
like
lingerie.
black
Yeah.
It's just
outfit.
like-
I know I've seen that. I'm like, I know this show is not like
It's
that.
like, yeah, she's like she wears that and it's not that like bad of an outfit or
Right.
anything, but like it just the impression that gives when the story is about Light and L like battling it out with mind games is just
yeah.
it
But
just
that's
it
a
also
good-
looks so
The-
edgy
the,
too.
the,
It
thing,
does.
the thing is too though is, and I don't know much about like Japan's marketing. I don't know exactly how it works, but people get the impression because it's pretty accurate, unfortunately, in America, especially, is sex sells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the outside world gets the impression that Americans just walk around horny 24/7.
I feel like the
Yeah.
thing with
Censor what you need to there, but that is the impression that most of the world has of us.
No, yeah.
That's why a lot of countries, not to get political, but rivaling countries say that we're immoral and debaucherous.
Yes.
Because that's not in their culture. Well, it is, but not. It's not a mainstay like it is for us.
I feel like in America too, it's portrayed as adult and cool, whereas in Japan and anime especially, it's portrayed as dumb and kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of thing doesn't translate well either. Because usually you'll see a movie trailer and there'll be a flash of a scene that's a sex scene or whatever, and it's supposed to be, hot and dark or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But an anime is just look at this.
Yeah.
Right in your face and being stupid.
Ha, that girl
over the
fell
top.
down and now
Yeah.
you see her panties.
Yeah.
haha,
It's
bad.
more childish, kind
It's
of
childish
joke.
style humor.
And I feel like that doesn't translate where you would see a cover of even Goblin Slayer and stuff.
Yeah.
Will just have the random girl on the cover and you'll just be like, this is gonna be, stupid.
Well,
And
like,
it
going
turns
back-
out it's perfectly wholesome.
yeah, it's just yeah.
Going back to Misuka in Death Note,
Yeah.
when we had Netflix and my parents would scroll through Netflix,
Oh yeah.
I watched Death Note on Netflix, right?
Yeah,
So
it's in
they're
your
scrolling
roster.
through it and they're like, "What's this?" And it's literally just her in black lingerie. And I'm like, "Oh, that's Death Note." And they're like, "You watch this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did, but it's not that. It's literally about
Every night
Like
at 2
Justice.
o'clock.
I've actually watched several anime that are just if somebody watches me watching this, I'm gonna die."
Oh yeah, I
Oh
have
yeah,
so.
Gurren Lagann, what's her name, is just super in your face
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole time.
But that's
That
also
she's on screen.
triggers. That's
Yeah.
also triggers style of. I don't know. It's weird how they do things, but it makes sense for their story.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I think with that abrupt cut, are we done now?
think-
I don't know. I think that pretty much sums up just
Yeah.
bad marketing, confused marketing, cultural barriers.
Yep.
Parents need to watch their children better. They're not a tax write-off. They're a
Oh,
Something
especially
to love.
nowadays when parents allow kids just to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't let them click on any
YouTube-
video.
I-
YouTube
Just
is
because it
worse.
has Elsa and Spider-Man in it does not mean it's good.
Yeah.
YouTube is worse than a
I
lot
mean-
of this stuff.
I'm guilty of watching it because I like surreal, weird stuff, especially when I have the flu. But when you have channels like Meat Canyon that exist, you should not allow your little
No.
mini you
And
to
also,
wander off into the voids of
Generally,
cyberspace.
entertainment has a purpose that's usually somewhat good. It's just a
Right.
good moral of be yourself or whatever. And real people aren't like that.
No.
So when you're watching a streamer, a lot of them are so cocky and arrogant and just it's just a bad influence itself is the thing.
legit, little kids should not be watching Ninja.
Yeah. They should not be watching these streamers and yeah, all this stuff. It's-
Anyways, getting off our soapboxes that are on top of our high horses.
we here at Baka-Talk hate parents.
Wait a minute. I was just telling parents they need to take better care of their kids. and
Oh,
love
yeah,
them.
yeah. Sorry. We'll redact that statement. We'll put an apology on Twitter. We did not mean this.
I don't want to use Twitter. Okay, now I'm getting off my soapbox.
All right, I needed that soapbox put on mine.
Oh, yes.
Parents.
Parents.
Heary.
Obviously, there's a lot of parents listening to this.
Hey,
Hey.
you never know.
Technically, the age range is between 17 and 30, so there could be a lot of
All the
parents.
kids listening to this are frick you, Baka-Talk. I want to watch what I want to watch.
I don't know. It's like I tell my niece, she's 5, and I'm like, this thing, you can't do it for so and so time frame, but when you can, I'm not gonna stop you.
Yeah.
But I think that brings us to the end of the show. If you want,
Is this the end?
this is the
This
end.
is
If
the
I can get through
apocalypse?
this spiel without cracking my voice,
Is this the end of time? Is this where oblivion meets eternity and the stars collide?
it can be whatever you want, bud.
All right.
Anyways, if you guys want to tell us what you guys find interesting about your favorite genre of anime, go ahead and email us at AskBaka-Talk, or you can even just leave it in the comments of the YouTube video. That'd be great. Of course, that YouTube video you can find at Baka-Talk Studios, which we release weekly podcast episodes, and eventually we'll release extra stuff as soon as I am not sick or
And they can actually
busy.
catch me to help make a video.
Yeah, exactly. Also, please leave a review on iTunes or Spotify because that greatly helps the podcast out. I was actually just listening to another podcast, and he grew super fast just because people were leaving like one or two like reviews on
So if you want to
iTunes.
see me get rich and famous and be on your billboards somehow through Boom's podcast,
Well, no, not rich and famous, but more like just get
Rich
the word out. If you
and
like the show
famous.
enough that you watch it, please just share it with somebody.
We will
Just
accept.
get the word out.
We will accept nothing less than rich and famous.
They will, because I don't know. I just want to let more people listen to my cracking voice.
I don't want to be rich and famous. It would be cool if we could like take off a little bit more. I'd love to be able to interact with the audience.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be great. So yeah, definitely leave your comments in the appropriate places. You can also reply to us on Twitter. Just add us on Twitter at TalkBaka. I will reply because I run that Twitter and I don't really have a personal Twitter anymore either. So besides for that, where can they find you, Weez?
You can find me on Twitter at KBW Author and on YouTube at KBW Anime. You have a handle now on YouTube.
You do.
And it's literally at KBW Anime.
Yep.
So yeah,
So it works out, and it works pretty good in the search
which is a
function.
really good idea because they've always just had channel names,
Yep.
and so many of them are so close together, and you're trying to find like a specific channel, and you can't because they're too small and they don't show up because of YouTube.
And Weez does like legit good videos. Like he does analytical content, and he
Yeah.
does do like the trash videos. Like, oh, you should watch this show. But he does other good things.
I just I'm trying. I've been trying them out. My last one tanked, so maybe I
Oh,
won't
did
do
it?
those anymore.
Well, wasn't the last one Mob Psycho?
It was Mob Psycho, yeah.
Well, I think the problem with that one is you're like
Nobody-
talking about like season 3.
Season 3, yeah.
So-
Everybody knows to watch Mob
Right,
Psycho at this
exactly.
point.
Where can they find you, Ramencat? If
They
you
can-
want to be found.
They can find me on Twitter at Ramencat13 or Eldritch Quill Arts.
Right. Eldritch Quill Arts is where he does art commissions, and he does freaking good art. Especially if you kind of like that surreal, like Eldritch, like literal Eldritch type like art. So
I just draw stuff.
you do, but it's freaking good.
It is good.
I did just find out today that I can go to Walmart and print posters. So if anyone wanted a poster, I'd totally mail it to them.
There you go.
You have your art like right on the wall, right?
Yeah, I,
I
love
do.
that.
I
art.
think it's time to draw a new cat girl.
a new cat girl,
A new Baka
a new Baka-chan.
Baka-chan cat girl.
I guess that's what you guys are calling her now. I just drew a cat girl.
Okay, fair
but
enough.
it's a Baka.
And not in a weird way, you sickos.
Yeah, it's very tasteful. She even has a full shirt on.
Although she does have a bell.
It's because she's a cat.
Like,
Yeah, that's kind of
probably like a collar.
Because she's a cat.
So
but she's a human.
she's
She's
like
a cat.
yeah.
She has a regular nose.
What if she's a cat? that
Anyways,
can
I'm
turn
not going to
into a
talk about
human?
this drawing that people can't see. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening to the show, and we will see you all later.
Jam meow.
Good night, everybody.